CTV News.
The jury has begun deliberating in the murder case for an 18-year-old boy accused of killing 16-year-old Jada Medrano Moore. I'm Mariah Jalad. I have that story coming up on CTV News.
And the county school bus system still facing issues in the new school year. Plus, the Commanders are gearing up for their first game at Northwest Stadium. Those stories and more on CTV News starting now.
Good evening. This is CTV News for September 13th. I'm Katara Jones.
And I'm Gina Barti. Thanks for joining us. Well, it's been an emotional week-long trial is nearing its end. The state's attorney and defense made their arguments in the case of an 18-year-old boy charged with murder. Our CTV's Mariah Jalad has been following the trial and brings us an update from the courthouse.
It's in the jury's hands now in the case of Abdul Rahman Diaby, who prosecutors say shot and killed 16-year-old Jada Medrano Moore a year ago on Wednesday. It's been an emotional 5-day trial. We heard from Medrano Moore's little brother, who at the time was 15 years old. He said that his sister stepped in to protect him during a fight near Duval High School when she was shot and killed. And Diaby's defense has been trying to argue during this case that the shooting was not intentional. They even tried to get him acquitted on 2 of the charges, but they were not successful during that. The defense witnesses that we heard from, 2 teenage boys who were with Diaby on the day of the shooting, they testified that they saw Medrano Moore try to take the gun from Diaby several times. We also heard on the prosecution side a witness, a medical examiner, who said that the victim was shot at close range, likely with the gun pressed up against her cheek. Now, the jury entered deliberations this morning. It's up to them to decide Diaby's fate. He faces murder, among other charges, could be up to life in prison. From Upper Marlboro, I'm Mariah Jalad, CTV News.
This just into the newsroom. The jury has found 18-year-old Diaby not guilty for first-degree murder, but guilty on first-degree assault, possession of a firearm under the age of 21, reckless endangerment, and use of a firearm in the commission of a crime of violence. Diaby could face up to 50 years in prison.
Meantime, questions are swirling after a Bowie police officer opened fire on a car Thursday morning. According to officials, Bowie police officer pulled over to assist a stranded motorist near Collington Road and Route 50. However, when approaching the vehicle, the officer opened fire for reasons still unknown. No one was injured, but a passing car was struck by the gunfire. Prince George's police are investigating the shooting.
Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin's life changed forever when his son Tommy committed suicide at the age of 25. Raskin has introduced legislation to increase access to care for those suffering a mental health crisis. The Stabilization to Prevent Suicide Act would create a grant program at the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration to expand access to effective and timely outpatient and virtual stabilization care and treatment. The CDC reports that suicide rates in the country increased by 36% between 2000 and 2022, with almost 50,000 people dying of suicide in 2022. Well, Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown joins a bipartisan coalition of 41 attorneys general in a letter urging Congress to require warning labels on social media sites. They say that the addictive nature of endless scrolling and content algorithms pose mental health risks to adolescents. A recent Maryland Department of Health survey of high school students showed that almost 75% of them spent 3 or more hours in front of a computer, watching TV, or using their smartphone.
Prince George's County Public Schools had high hopes for their new busing plans this year, as did families. An ongoing bus driver shortage led to the school system consolidating bus routes, but some families are still waiting almost 2 hours for buses that never come. One parent says a bus didn't come for her daughter, who is in a wheelchair, but left her behind after it was decided that they didn't have enough room for her. PGCPS says its transportation plan is working to address those issues, and Superintendent Miller House says the transportation plan is a work in progress.
What we have to remember is that we transport about 80,000 students. I repeat, 80,000 students on a daily basis to and from school. And this transportation plan is a reflection of decades of issues up until this point. So the 5 points and the 5 goals that we focused on will really get us there over the course of the next few years. This year is a much better year than last year. To know that there are a handful of issues that are out there, we're doing our best to handle those.
A total number of bus stops across the system is 10,800, down from 13,900 last fall. And the Maryland Board of Public Works approves a settlement against the University of Maryland College Park. A federal lawsuit alleges that a male student faced bias and discrimination in the disciplinary hearing from the university officials involving claims of sexual assault against him. The hearing led to a temporary expulsion of the student. Ultimately, the former male student will get $50,000 from the settlement. This all stems from a complaint filed from a female student saying she was sexually assaulted by the male student back in 2022.
Meantime, the Justice Department has filed a federal lawsuit against Johns Hopkins Health System, accusing them of violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. The suit claims Johns Hopkins denied people with disabilities equal access to care by sometimes excluding their support persons during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to the complaint, while Hopkins had policies allowing support persons, they often failed to follow these rules, restricting necessary support for patients. Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen joins other lawmakers and environmental organizations to introduce legislation that would hold the nation's largest polluters financially responsible for the cost of the climate crisis. The Polluters Pay Climate Fund Act would authorize the Treasury Department to impose a fee on the top polluting fossil fuel companies and oil refineries. It would also establish a $1 trillion Polluters Pay Climate Fund to combat the impact of climate change.
Polluters should pay to clean up the mess they have caused, and those who polluted the most should pay the most. We are witnessing the accelerating costs of climate change throughout the state of Maryland, throughout the country.
For over 60 years, 60 years, these companies have known about their role in driving the climate crisis and have made massive profits from it. Despite this awareness, they have done little to nothing to address the harmful effects their practices have had on the environment and public health.
It's time, as you heard from Maura, that they face the consequences of their deception and they're held responsible for the actions that are destroying both lives and a livable and safe climate.
In a statement to CTV News, the American Petroleum Institute, the trade association that represents the oil and natural gas industry, says, quote, "At a time when inflation remains a top concern for American voters, this is nothing more than a punitive new fee on American energy and a distraction from the solutions. We need to meet growing demand while reducing emissions."
Investigators looking into the collapse of Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge have found a loose cable that might have caused electrical issues on the Dolly, the cargo ship that veered off course and struck the bridge. The cable, when disconnected, triggered a blackout on the ship, similar to what occurred before the crash on March 26, according to the National Transportation Safety Board. While heading to Sri Lanka, the Dolly lost steering to a power failure and crashed into the bridge support, destroying the 1.6-mile span and killing 6 road workers.
A man accused of stealing a state highway truck, crashing into multiple vehicles, and leading police on a high-speed chase pleads guilty. 27-year-old Flavio Lanuzza of Laurel pleaded guilty yesterday and faces up to 14 years and 10 months in prison. Lanuzza faces charges of second-degree assault on a law enforcement officer, fleeing and eluding a marked police vehicle, and 11 counts of failure to return and remain on the scene of an incident. Lanuzza's sentencing hearing is scheduled scheduled for December 12th. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Gina Barty.
And I'm Katara Jones. Still to come.
Bowie State students learn some techniques on how to fight fraud with AI. That story and more up next. Stay with us.
We are the nation's largest integrated healthcare system, providing life-changing care to over 9 million veterans.
Our hands are busy. Competent, skilled, healing, helping, and friendly. A place where diverse teams come together hand in hand to provide full patient-centered care. Working in state-of-the-art facilities with influential leaders in healthcare, all with a single goal in mind: to help veterans heal, recover, and get their lives back in a place where everyone plays a part and where your efforts are truly appreciated. A place so innovative and forward-thinking that we're rebuilding hands, and where even robots lend a hand.
Join hands with us. Learn more at vacareers.va.gov.
Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. Around the world, generations of leaders build new friendships and solve problems, turning great ideas into reality. Take action with us. Find out more at rotary.org/action.
Hi, I'm the Big C. Hey, look at this beautiful couple. I knew as soon as I said that, I was like, don't say it, don't assume. Did you know more than 2 people die from skin cancer every hour?
Oh, man.
It's a bummer, but the good news is skin cancer is a cancer you can see, so you can go get checked. You can check each other regularly, make it romantic. Turns out I'm a matchmaking mirror. You're welcome. Love might be in the air.
Welcome back. According to Forbes, Maryland ranked 7th in states being impacted by financial fraud, with seniors and African Americans getting hit the hardest, but the rapidly growing group is with teens and young adults. FICO's Chief Data Analytics Officer was at Bowie State University today. The focus of the day was teaching students how to combat financial fraud with AI. This is FICO's 2nd annual visit to the HBCU.
So this is year 2 of what we call the FICO Educational Challenge, where we work with students at Bowie State to make sure that they are learning real industry-specific skills, and technology that they can apply. And so for us, we want to make sure that we're working with students that can create a diverse view of how to apply AI and machine learning appropriately in the future years.
I'm getting to see what that looks like from a student's point of view and what they do on their daily life. And what I'm taking away from it is I have an open mind to see different fields and different careers of what I could possibly venture into.
FICO has partnered with 2 other HBCUs, Delaware State and Morehouse College.
Well, half of renters in Maryland pay more than 30% of their income to housing costs, an issue nearly 22 million renters are dealing with nationwide. According to a year-long survey released Thursday, half of Maryland renters are considered cost burdened by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and around a quarter of Marylanders pay over half of their income in rental costs, making them severely cost burdened. The median monthly rent in the county went up 4% between 2022 and 2023 and is more than $1,700, while the state's average is closer to $1,600. Well, Maryland is set to receive $16 million in grants, which will be used for bicycle, pedestrian, and trail projects across the state. The funding will support efforts to improve road safety, strengthen the state's transportation system, and help reduce emissions. $1.7 million will go towards converting a half-mile of roadway that intersects with the Purple Line into a multi-modal corridor, and $75,000 will go towards retrofitting where the Levee Trail crosses 38th Street in Mount Rainier to improve safety.
Progressive Maryland is focusing its fall efforts on electing Prince George's County Angela Alsobrooks to the U.S. Senate. The group allocated around $500,000 for the campaign to defeat former Republican Governor Larry Hogan. They plan to have their volunteers and field organizers reach between 100,000 and 200,000 voters before Election Day. Now, Maryland Matters reports that while Progressive Maryland and Angela Alsobrooks have had their differences with control of the U.S. Senate at stake this November, the group feels it can't afford to sit this election out. And Forbes magazine named Howard University the top historically black college or university in the nation. The annual list showcases 500 schools producing successful, high-earning, and influential graduates from all economic backgrounds with less student debt. Other HBCUs that name are on that list are Spelman College, Morehouse College, North Carolina A&T University, and Hampton University.
Well, the U.S. is divided when it comes to state and federal marijuana policies, but recent political developments could move the country toward a greater acceptance of cannabis. Both major presidential candidates have signaled support for federal policy change to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug, and voters in several additional states will get a say in this fall on legalization. Though still illegal under federal law, public approval of marijuana has grown significantly. And so has the number of states where it's legally sold in stores. 24 states and the District of Columbia have legalized marijuana. And still to come on CTV News.
Excitement is in the air as the Commanders prepare to take the field.
Football is back in the nation's capital. I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have more on the Commanders' home opener coming up on CTV News.
Why is just a starting line? For the true self blooms only when we find our purpose. What makes us tick? Below the surface. My why is diversity and unity, a safe space in my community. Living with sincerity, giving every day my everything. With my why, I stand strong, seen and supported all along. For some, their why is a summer under stars, memories and moments, connections near and far. Why is the before work hustle an after school home, a section of my block, a corner to call my own. Our reason why is united, undivided, seeking understanding. Here, a handshake is a promise. All our hearts are dancing, laughing is our song. It's kinship, friendship, tide rising with the ship. It's a million faces in a mirror and everyone belongs. Find your why for a better us.
I'm the Big C.
What is the Big C?
I'm here to tell you about skin cancer. Skin cancer is the cancer you can see. If we see something new, changing, or unusual, that could be skin cancer.
Is there skin cancer on me right now?
I'm not a dermatologist, but you know who is?
Yeah.
Your dermatologist. You gotta get checked, girl.
Do I?
Yes! Everybody has to get checked. See the Big C today.
As we work to get through these times together, you may not be thinking about blood donation, but blood is needed to save the lives of people who are sick with a range of illnesses. It's easy and safe to give. If you are in good health, please donate. We need heroes now. Visit redcrossblood.org to schedule an appointment.
Well, Katera, can you believe it? The football season is back.
I know you're excited. I'm excited, and we'll get the chance to see the Commanders in action this weekend at home. CTV's Bryce Parker is at Northwest Stadium with more.
It is a big weekend and a weekend of firsts for Commanders fans in the area. Sunday is the home opener. Rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels will be making his home debut as a Washington Commander, and it is the inaugural game at the newly named Northwest Stadium. This big weekend of football just gets even bigger as this is also the first divisional matchup for the Commanders of the season. And we all know that rivalries bring an extra jolt of excitement and energy to the gridiron. Most people will see this as a big must-win game as they are playing a New York Giants team that is not projected to win a lot of games this season. And to add to the extra excitement and anticipation of the big day, Maryland native Wale will be performing at halftime. The Commanders sure are pulling out all of the stops as the New York Giants make the road trip down I-95. Kickoff is on Sunday at 1 p.m. and a big win would mean a lot for the confidence of all of the new faces across the Commanders organization. And if one thing is for sure, the fans will be on their side, welcoming the Giants to Landover with a lot of yelling and screaming, hoping to send them back home to New York with an L. Reporting from Landover, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
Thanks, Bryce, for that report. The Commanders actually have a chance Sunday to win their third home opener in a row.
Switching gears a little bit, meantime, the Maryland Board of Public Works approved the purchase of a private luxury camping site. The facility is known as Savage River Lodge, and it's a 42-acre property near Frostburg. The site was bought for $9.6 million following a 2-0 vote by the panel, with Maryland Treasurer Derek Davis abstaining. According to reports, Republican State Senator Mike McKay asked the board to hold off on buying the property to give residents and the Department of Natural Resources a chance to hold a town hall meeting.
A popular sports apparel store is coming to College Park and receiving grant money from the city. According to reports, Rally House, a sports memorabilia company, will be getting a grant from the city of College Park. The city council approved just this week to give the company a business retention and attraction assistance grant worth about $130,000. The store, which is set to open on October 18th, will be located on the 7500 block of Baltimore Avenue. Rally House is an official retailer partner of the Big Ten.
Well, the grocery store retailer Aldi will be increasing its national minimum wage and plans to bring more jobs to the state of Maryland. The new national minimum will be $18 for in-store employees and $23 for warehouse employees. This comes after Aldi announced that they plan to hire 13,000 employees ahead of the holiday season. Any Aldi employee that works more than 30 hours a week will also have access to health and paid time off.
Well, shoppers, pay attention to this. Bed Bath & Beyond is making a return in 2025. The parent company, Beyond Inc., is planning to partner with 2 existing retail chains. One of those chains will begin to convert some of its stores into Bed Bath & Beyonds. The company will now operate in a 3-store format style: neighborhood, large store, and overstocked store format. And still to come on CTV News.
Simon Buggs is here with the Little Sports. What's going on, Simon?
That's right, guys. Today I'm going to highlight a college team that took the field last night and 2 college teams that will be taking the field this weekend.
Great.
Sit tight, sports fans. You're going to want to see this. We'll be right back.
Home before sunrise, on top of the house, the kids, and our future. The smell of your cooking is our alarm clock. My Shiro's day is never done. So let's start saving a little more now so we can feel prepared for retirement. A free 3-minute online chat can give us the personalized tips we need so we can live our lives to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
When I was 10, my mom got deported. We had a difficult time, and I feel that's why I didn't get to finish school. My husband is really supportive in a way that he pushed me to go back to school.
She wants to have a career so her kids can look up to her.
They both keep me motivated to go to school, and they see that if I do it, like, they can do it too, you know? I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
All right, folks, it's time for the show's best segment, your Friday Sports Page. We begin with some UMD soccer highlights. Last night as the Michigan State women's soccer squad matched up against the Lady Terps. Although the Lady Terps went scoreless in the first half, they had a couple of nice plays defensively, like defender Katie Coyle saying "not on my watch" as she had this header to prevent a Lady Spartans goal. But that Maryland defense couldn't hold off Michigan State enough as they were able to score some goals and were up 3-0 on the Lady Terps by halftime. In the second half, the Lady Terps came close to scoring their first goals of the night with these two kicks, but they had no luck. And goalkeeper Liz Beerley had a couple of nice saves in the half, like this one here where with bodies all over the place, she was still able to lock in and get one for her team. Beersley came in clutch for her team soon after as she caught the ball at full speed to prevent another Lady Spartans goal. But unfortunately, Michigan State did score some goals like this one in the half that I have to admit was kind of tough. And in the end, the Lady Terps were shut out and lost to the Lady Spartans 5-0. Maryland is now 3-3, and their next opponent will be Washington on September 19th. Meanwhile, the Terps football team is gearing up for their third game of the season. And the team won't be traveling very far as they are taking the field against Virginia tomorrow. Now, Maryland will have their hands full dealing with the Cavaliers, and linebacker Ruben Hippolyte gave his thoughts on what to look out for on defense.
A lot of play action. I think they do a great job at using their quarterback and moving him off the spot to make throws. Their quarterback does a great job at extending plays. He has a great ability to run and get outside the pocket. I know he led their team in rushing a year ago, but it wasn't off of any design runs. It was like him just taking off and making something happen. So just got to be aware of that.
Kickoff is at 8 o'clock. Should be a good game. And it'll be an exciting weekend for Bowie State fans as the football team will be in action for their first home game of the season. Not only will this be the team's first home game, but they'll be also trying to get their first dub of the year. The Bulldogs will be matching up against Davenport University tomorrow. And don't worry, football fans, I got you as I'll be covering the game and providing you with highlights on Monday. The Bulldogs and Panthers will take the field at noon. Sticking with football, like we said, the Washington Commanders will be taking the field this weekend. The Burgundy and Gold will face off against the New York Giants on Sunday at 1 o'clock. And finally, the Baltimore Orioles will take the field in their series opener against the Detroit Tigers tonight. The game begins at 6:40 in the Motor City. And that wraps up your Friday Sports Page.
Well, I'm really excited about the Commanders. Hopefully they can beat the Giants.
Yeah, I hope so. Because if there's one team that loses a game that they should win, it's the Washington Commanders. So,
I know.
Yeah, hopefully we can definitely pull out the win. I think we're a better team than the Giants, so hopefully we can get our first dub of the year in the new stadium, no less.
Yeah, most definitely. Absolutely. Thanks, Simon.
No problem.
Great. And let's get a quick look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of 64. And for the next couple of days, we'll be seeing bright and sunny skies.
That's right. Saturday with a high of 84, Sunday with a high of 82, and Monday with a high of 80. And now for our community calendar. If you have a furry friend at home, the city of New Carrollton has a Fur-tastic Day planned for you. The city's first pet festival will be tomorrow, September 14th.
The event will be held from 11 to 3 and will be held at Pickett Field. And that wraps up CTV News for now. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you again on Monday. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Have a good weekend.